Hey, welcome online, everyone. Type in the chat where you're joining us in from tonight. I'm excited that this is the technology night, and you actually still have about 60 seconds to make sure you get the invites going. Contact everyone that you've been working with, people that have been kind of questioning, having questions about the technology, what's Neumi about, what's this glutathione thing. Get them on the call. We got about 60 seconds because our friend Steve Scott is going to bring the heat. Wow, looks like we got folks coming in from all over the world. We got the Sunshine Coast in Australia, New Zealand, Angelo, Texas, Indonesia. Numi's in 72 countries right now, about to be 74. And so for all of our non-English speaking family members, this presentation tonight is in English. So if you don't speak English, we actually going to have captions enabled. So take a listen to this.
Untuk mengaktifkan terjemahan bahasa Indonesia, silakan klik caption di panel laptop atau handphone Anda semua.
Para poder obtener la traducción en español es necesario hacer clic en el menú de Zoom y elegir la opción Subtítulos en español.
大家好，如果你想看字幕，请按屏幕底下的 CC 按钮，选择中文。此功能仅适用于直播。
Bonjour, bienvenue à cet événement Neumi. Vous pouvez activer les sous-titres dans votre langue en cliquant sur Sous-titres au bas de l'écran. Veuillez noter que cette option fonctionne uniquement dans la salle Zoom en direct. Merci et bonne écoute.
大家好，如果你想看字幕，請按屏幕底下嘅 CC 按鈕選擇中文。呢個功能淨係適用於直播。
All right, welcome again, everyone. For those of you who don't know, my name is Keith Chasson, a double diamond with Neumi. My wife Jamie and I have been with Neumi since April 16th, 2022, and we couldn't be more excited. We had been in the industry for quite some time, experienced some wonkiness in this world of network marketing. But when I got to meet Steve Scott, his heart, his passion for humanity and the technology that he was bringing to the marketplace, we got excited. And I couldn't be more excited tonight than to be the one introducing him tonight to go over the hydrostat molecular encapsulation technology that is bringing the world of Neumi to a global scale. And so, no further ado, my friend Steve Scott, take it away.
Hello there. And I am excited. Let me see. Oh, somebody else is going to be admitting people. There we go. Thank you. I don't have to do it. For those of you that don't know, I'm the highest ADD, that's attention deficit disorder, ever measured by the University of Utah out of thousands and thousands of tests or test subjects. And so I'm easily distracted. Like right here, it says confirm your language. So now I got to confirm my language. There, save. But I see all these people coming up on my screen that say admit, and I start to panic that they're not being admitted. Welcome to everybody. The good news keeps coming in. We are hearing amazing stories with I don't have a picture of it here. I don't have any product on my desk. Can you believe that? You guys can hold it up if you have it, but the Neuro product, there it is. Woohoo! Let me just say that people are going crazy on this thing. One thing about it as it relates to those of you that are in our Neumi family and wanting to build a business, it is a very quick business builder because people experience a difference with it by and large within their first use, within 5 minutes, in fact, 5 or 10 minutes. Just ask them if they've got brain fog. Do they ever start to lose their energy during the day? Can they handle boring meetings, long sermons, at church on Sunday, whatever? But you know what we're hearing? Oh my goodness. I have one friend who's been a friend since high school. And she and her husband was one of my best friends in life, still is, Marine Corps aviator, gave his adult life before retirement to the United States Marine Corps, both as a pilot and as a training pilot. Remember the little jets in the first Top Gun movie? Those are called A4s. And they're subsonic, but they're incredibly maneuverable. And that's what Kenny flew for years. Well, his wife got her brain product. And she texted me and she said, I can't even believe what I'm experiencing now. She's a year older than me. She'd be 77. She said, I'm remembering things back to my childhood. And I got to tell you, some of those memories are really, really unpleasant. And she said, that's not the good news. The good news is my focus is better than ever. And she says, I can't even believe how I'm getting through my day on this. In fact, I'm about to run out, hint, hint. And yes, my best friends in life do get free product. And there's a reason for that. I still haven't had my first paycheck, so I feel fine about giving out a bottle or two or three to my very, very closest friends in life. And she and her husband are two of them. He donated his life to protecting American troops all over the globe. And so it's just a little give back to him. They're ranchers. Anyway, good news on that. And it is going worldwide as fast as we can get our country approvals and increase our manufacturing. Yes, it is hard to keep in stock because the order supply has honestly, it's had a curve. We had it. Normally you get a curve like this, and then it starts to turn north. This is just turn north like that. And so that's been the good news. Another good news is Ryan and I and Sergio go on the road in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from now, Ryan and I will be in Lyon, France. Sergio is going to be in Spain. Then we're all going to meet in Hungary. And then Ryan and I go to Amsterdam to meet with our wonderful leaders in Amsterdam. Good news on the horse front, that there are currently over 500 horses on our product that are competitive equestrian horses. By the end of September 7th, there will be over 1,000. Now, our product is not made for animals. It is not an animal product. It is a human product. Now, as a human being, if you want to give it to your turtle, you can do it. It might kill him, but you can do it. You can give it to your parakeet. Don't know what it'll do with parakeets. We've heard stories with animals like dogs, and now we're hearing horse stories that are crazy. And I'll just give you a hint of something that someday will come out. A veterinarian group has done a 6-week clinical study on what our product has done for horses. Now, the same markers that measure different things with horses are also used as markers for oxidative stress and recovery with humans. And these are very athletic horses, so they're not subject to change. Just like a world-class athlete, human athlete, has a baseline of performance that's very hard for them to improve because they're already training every day, they're maxed out, and that's how these horses are. Well, the results of these clinical studies, I got my first glimpse today, and all I can say is everybody that loves their animals are going to want them on our product. Everybody that makes an investment in their animals are going to want them on our product. These studies are so definitive. Crazy. But we're going to wait until the study is actually in publishable form before we give any of the results. But just get ready. And so we're pretty doggone excited about that. We would have expected this because all mammals rely on glutathione for hundreds of functions. And they relate to longevity. They relate to accelerated aging of the cells or decelerated aging. There was a recent article that I read on oxidative stress in human disease. You don't want to hear it. Basically, oxidative stress, and we already knew this, but this was a different study, opens the gateway to all 78 diseases of aging and accelerates those diseases. Now, bad news out of the United Kingdom, but it is global news, or I wouldn't have heard it in the United States. It was a study of 104,000 young people, and they discovered that this generation of young people ages, I think the ages were 15 through 25 or 15 through 40, are aging at a faster rate than their parents aged, at a very significant accelerated aging, so much so that it's increased the cancer rates that were normally reserved for older ages. They're now seeing in younger ages. They're seeing a 17% increase in certain cancer rates with young people. Now, what would be expected? A 0.5% increase, a 2% increase. This is unbelievable. What causes accelerated aging? 2 words are all you have to remember: oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is our mortal enemy. It brings inflammation to every cell in our body, our brain cells, our heart cells, our kidney cells, our liver cells, our skin cells, every cell. It brings inflammation, and here's equally bad news: it accelerates the aging of those cells. That's what oxidative stress does. What causes oxidative stress? Well, it's basically primarily caused by reactive oxygen species, better known as free radicals. And those free radicals create the oxidative stress. Now, we just read, as part of this study in horses, that oxidative stress is the mortal enemy of horses, too. And guess what they said the number one mitigating agent of oxidative stress is? Anybody want to guess? Michael, you want to guess? Sonia. Oh, entered the waiting room. The number one most powerful mitigating force to oxidative stress is glutathione. Woohoo! Problem: raising glutathione levels in the cell and utilization and production of glutathione is a real hard thing to do. And we knew that. Guess what? It's not hard for our technology. And we'll talk about that right now. What technology do we have? Well, we have, there's ways to keep particles from coming together in solution. Particles, molecules, come together, and what they do is form bigger particles, and those bigger particles are too big to get into our cells. And that includes glutathione, L-cysteine, so many vitamins and nutrients. Do you know there's a lot of vitamins that the absorption rate to the cell is as low as 5%, including vitamin D. And to counter that, if there was a way we could separate these particles and then encapsulate them so they don't come back together, well, there are ways. One is to surround them with fat called lipids, and that's called liposomal encapsulation. Problem is, a fat adds bulk. So if this is a molecule and this is how I'm going to wrap it in a fat, now the molecule's a lot bigger and really hard to get into that hole. Okay. Now, if it does get into the hole, the other problem with that fat or liposomal encapsulation is you're not only putting this particle in the hole, if you got it in there, you're also putting a fat. Cells don't need more fat. They're not water soluble. They collect, they become landfills or storage dumps for toxic waste in the cell. So the one problem with liposomes, which is why a lot of scientists don't like them, is they collect toxins and you can't get them out easily. So, and all that creates problems. The inflammation creates problems. Keith, let's show them what a cell looks like. Now, every cell in your body is more complex, has more systems operating in sync, more communication, more programming design and programming function than the most complex machine ever built by mankind. And that machine is the Saturn V lunar launch vehicle, 3-stage rocket with a lunar lander and an orbiter. That took 35,000 engineers, 8 years to design and build. Every cell in your body is more complex than a Saturn V. Do you know that the most advanced computer in the world, I've heard two numbers. I've heard one number that it has 8 miles of wiring, and I heard another number that it had 50 miles of wiring within a computer. That's a lot of wiring. Now, all of those wires aren't free wires dangling around. They're all connected. They are on circuit boards and so on. Do you know that your brain has 300,000 miles of wiring? 300,000. That's enough to go to the moon and have over 50,000 miles left over. Now you divide 300,000 by 25 and you get 4 times 3 is 12 trips around the world. Just the wiring in your brain. You could go around the globe 12 times. Now, they're not freestanding wiring. They're connected. And communication is flowing through that. How tiny are these things? Well, if we took a grain of sand worth of gray matter out of your brain, it would contain 100,000 neurons and 1 billion synapses. And there's communication going back and forth. A grain of sand out of your brain, that mass is about this big. Do you think I could tell you stuff about DNA. It's so interesting how cells work. Did you know your heart cells and your liver cells and your eye cells, they all have the exact same DNA, the exact same chromosomes. And yet they're all programmed, and the programming is messaged through the DNA, but they're all programmed differently. They're programmed by genes that have off and on switches, so that the genes in your liver cells will have some switches on and some switches off. And that creates the messaging for the DNA that tells your cell what type of proteins to build. I mean, is that crazy? And in the liver cells, the same genes, some are in different positions. The genes that have the on switch for your heart cells have an off switch. The switch is in the off position for your liver cells. It's all programmed. Do you think, honestly, are you so foolish to think that that happened by chance? It's impossible. Let's take apart a Saturn V rocket and all its components and all of its wiring, and let's put it in a big giant piece of Tupperware that's at least 5 or 6 stories high, and let's shake it in different directions. Let's put adhesives in there and shake it for 100 trillion years. Do you ever think you'd get a Saturn V out of that? Operating, communicating? No, impossible. Every cell is more complex. You are an amazing creation of God. Psalm 14:1. Ronan, who is Jewish on this call, loves Psalms as much as I do. Psalm 14:1 said, "The fool has said in his heart, there is no God." Let me tell you, folks, go ahead and put your head in the sand like an ostrich and believe that if you want. But the same person that wrote that psalm said, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I'm full of wonder. That's what God has done with you. And this is not a religious sermon. This is a biological, cellular sermon. The more I learn about DNA and cellular function and the human brain and the human cell, the more excited I am. Because what? Because that's the level we operate at. Everything starts at a cellular level. How long that cell lives, how long you live, how healthy you are, how quickly you succumb to bacterial and viral insults, how fast you recover from that, how fast you wear down emotionally, physically, mentally, how fast you rebuild back up and restore. All of that starts at a cellular level. And the most negative force at the cellular level is oxidative stress. And what you have in your hand, in my opinion, after spending millions of my dollars and 17 years of my life in this, you have the most effective counter to oxidative stress the world has ever known. You are bringing glutathione and cysteine into the cytoplasm of that cell simultaneously. Nobody else on earth that we know of is doing that. You are impacting the lives, the health, the performance of everybody. How about mental performance? You know what happens when your mental performance starts to tank or your emotional performance starts to tank? You become susceptible to discouragement and depression. When you have not enough energy, mentally, physically, emotionally, even the smallest things can be overwhelming, befuddling. But when you have cellular energy that doesn't spike and crash, even the big things become manageable. So we hear reports from doctors on all sorts of things, not because we have an antidepressant, but because we are raising stable stealth energy. What's stealth energy? Stealth energy is energy you don't notice. You just don't run down. And when you are going through anything in life, an athlete, an event, a student, a lecture, you and me just getting through our days in human relationships on the job, that stealth energy allows us to perform at a peak level and not run down. That's what we're doing. It's stealth because it's in the cell. Did we already show a picture of the cell, Keith? Okay, let's look at it again. Now, what oxidative stress does, it creates inflammation. So all these things are there for a purpose. They're communicating, they're utilizing energy to perform functions. Now drop a piece of mud in there, a piece of sewage, or anything that obstructs any of that. And you know what happens? That's what inflammation does. So anything we can do to reduce oxidative stress and thereby reduce the resulting inflammation and accelerated aging, that's a very, very good thing. So that's tonight's lecture. Now we're going to look at what that means. It means whether you're a horse or a person, you're going to perform better and recover faster. Do you know that a sports medical doctor on our medical board that has 19 clinics in Europe, and he's opening clinics in the United States, most of their clients are professional athletes or world-class amateur athletes. They've already measured that for a world-class athlete, we delay the onset of lactic acidosis by 16.7%. That means less destruction of the cells and a much faster physical recovery. Well, our athletes have been reporting a faster physical recovery from day one, and that results in better performance. Bill Gillespie at 62 lifted 40% more weight for a world record than he did when he set the world record at 49. At 62, lifting 40% more weight than he could 13 years earlier when he was at his peak. That's pretty amazing. But that's the power of reducing oxidative stress. I mean, the numbers I heard today blew me away. And guess what? There's no placebo effect with horses. You don't say, hey, buddy, I'm going to give you something. And man, you think you're performing good now. You think you're recovering fast now. Just wait till you try this. Give me some of that. No, they can't talk. They can't tell that. So you get perfect test subjects, and they were matched by age, by gender. So it was 6-year-olds on product, 6-year-olds off product at different points of performance. And then immediately after performance, how fast they recovered, measured at 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 30 minutes. The data, oh my gosh, if I was raising horses right now, I'd probably buy every bottle of Swish available. I couldn't get my hands on enough of it. Can you tell I'm excited tonight? Well, you've got the same thing that I've got, and you didn't have to invest 17 years of your life and millions of dollars to get it. Okay? Today we talked to some very, very wonderful people. I talked to some doctors in Nigeria. Oh my gosh, do we have good Neumi family members in Nigeria? I talked to some men in Greece. They are so excited. I welcomed them to our Neumi family. And I said, guys, because these are experienced networkers and big networkers. And I said, we're not a company with a field. So don't even think of us as that. We're a Neumi family. And you will be supported by family members. not by corporate executives. We're a Neumi family here at corporate, and we're a Neumi family in the field. And that's how we honor people, and you will be honored. And we expect you to honor the people here at corporate. If you scream or swear at one of our customer service people, you'll be warned one time. Do it a second time and you'll be suspended. Now, we don't mind you saying, you guys got it all wrong this month. What are you doing? It's okay to be frustrated. But you got to temper that with kindness and honor, because that's how we tell our people to temper their response and reaction to you. We want that family-wide. You know, when we put this company together, or actually before we started putting it together, two people, Sherry and Rhonda, most of you know them, said, Steve, can we agree to pray that our culture is never changed? That we look for people and recruit people that have a culture of caring, of honor. Do you know that's who's come to us? And by and large, there's a lot of people that have come to us who honestly have been mistreated by other companies. And we may make mistakes and we may frustrate the crud out of you because we're growing so fast that we're always changing our systems to make them better. But you'll always be treated with honor and kindness. And if you're not, you have direct, you go to your upline will get it to us. And guess what happens? Whoever in customer service treats somebody unkindly, they get the same thing the field gets. They get warned. And if it's repeated, offensive action that's documented and repeated, then they get asked to find a new home. Because that we are maintaining this culture. Okay, enough of that. Let's look at the visible evidence of what we got. Keith, let's start with Bill Gillespie's chart. That's always fun. And then we'll show some before and afters. This is Bill Gillespie. He was strength and conditioning coach of the Seattle Seahawks and Liberty University football team, working 12 to 16 hours a day, but he was always an amateur weightlifter from the time he was 14. He gets drug tested every meet he wins, and he's been on our product since 2018. But let's look at his chart. Okay. There at 49, you could see he set a world record in the bench press, lifting over 804 pounds, but 400 and some odd kilos, if you're looking at kilograms. And then he started going downhill. I called him in 2018 when we were making lab samples of our product. And I said, how you doing? He said, not good. He said, my recovery's so slow, I can only lift heavy once a week. I used to lift heavy 4 times a week. I'm racked with inflammation from a lifetime of weightlifting. I wake up hurting. I hurt all day. Steve, you know, I'm working with the athletes 12, 14, 16 hours a day. And then I go home hurting, so I don't sleep well. And my lift is down, my bench press is down to around 700 pounds. In reality, it was down to 705. I remember the conversation. It was the middle of June 2018. Well, I said, Bill, we're going to see how we change things up here. I'm going to send you a product, told him how to use it, and look what happened. At 60, he bench pressed 1,050 pounds. Michael, if you could please look up how many kilos. I think it's 400 and some. No, we're not going there yet. And then at 60, 1,050 pounds, and at 62, this is about 512 kilos, the weight of a grand piano. At 62, 1,129 pounds. And that's 40% more weight than he lifted 13 years earlier when he was at his peak. Okay, back to me. How on earth does a 62-year-old lift 40% more weight, a world record number, by the way, than he did at 49? The answer are those 2 words we started with: oxidative stress. We reduced oxidative stress in his life, and everything got better. He recovered. His recovery went back to such a fast recovery. He went to heavy lifting 4 to 5 times a week. But instead of sets and reps of 400 pounds, he was doing sets and reps of 600 pounds, 700 pounds. Then one time he called me and he said, "Hey, Steve, I just did a set of 10 reps, 800 pounds on the bar." Holy mackerel. That's a lot of weight. That's my dear friend. By the way, he loves God. I love Bill Gillespie. He's retired now. But I just met with him at Liberty University last year. What a man from the inside out. And I thank God for Bill all the time. So anyway, what happened? Well, one of our athletes in a 100-mile bike race, this 2018, went end over end, hit the pavement so hard, knocked her out, woke up in a hospital. Face hit the pavement at 22 miles an hour. The plastic surgeon, by the way, the doctor in Nigeria that I was on with today is a renowned plastic surgeon. He teaches plastic surgeons techniques all over the world. And he was blown away. We'll just leave it at that. But her face was ripped up pretty good. And the plastic surgeon in the hospital said that's going to take 5 weeks to clear. And then you'll have to wait 60 days. Come see me then, and we'll work out a protocol for dealing with your scars. Well, she got home on Tuesday night. Rec was on Saturday. She had been swishing. She set her own personal records in the race, but she had been swishing while in the hospital. She gets home and thinks, hey, this stuff's nano. Maybe it'll help my face. So she applied some topically with a cotton ball. And then she did it once on Tuesday night, 3 times, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. By Sunday, not a mark on her face, no scar. 5 weeks that it was supposed to take to clear, 5 days of topical application. When I saw that, I'm not stupid. I've owned 5 cosmetic companies. So I realized we may have the world's best skincare products. So I put some in spray bottles, sent them to a group of about 8 women. And let's go to our before and afters. And this was the first woman that came back. Now she's 59 there, but I'm going to show you something. Keep holding on that. And when I got that, that was after 7 weeks of spraying her face. I sent it to my former formulator, who became the head formulator for the company that created Botox. And when he saw that, he called me right away and he said, Steve, that's impossible. She's had a facelift. There's no product in the world. Look how much brighter her face is. Look how much tighter, how much smoother. Look how it's opened her eyes. You can only do that with surgery. Wrong, John. It's our product. She owns a farm, works on a farm, lives on a farm. No scalpel has ever touched her face. Now I'm going to show you something. Come back to me for a minute. I just got this photo today that her mother took of her albums. If I can find the right album. Hold on. We're working on it. Well, today she is not 59. She's 64. How about that? She does not look like a 64-year-old, and she does not look like she's 6 years older than the lady on the right. That's our product. Okay, well, real quick run through a couple. Now, why do I show you these? It's not only because we have the world's best skincare product, which is just a spray. We instructed them spray 5 times a day. Yeah, you can spray it over makeup. It's just a light mist, but make sure your face is wet. And let's go to the next one. So my son wanted me to spray half my face and not spray the other half. I told him no, because I still enjoyed dating his mom. So I was 71 here. I sprayed my right hand, but I didn't spray my left hand. That was 12 weeks. Pretty big difference. Next, there's an 84-year-old, And we asked her how many times a day she sprayed. She said she had bottles all over the house, so she sprayed every time she passed one. She said, I couldn't keep count. Did the same thing with swishing, but look at her mouth, look at her chin, look at her neck. You can't get that kind of a change at that level, even with plastic surgery. Now write down these words: tighter, brighter, smoother, and younger. Those are the key words. That's what we do. Now, there are some cultures in the world, in Asia and Africa, that want brighter skin. In fact, some drugs are sold in India that have horrible, horrible, horrible side effects. But they so desperately want brighter skin and lighter skin that they endure the side effects of these terrible drugs. Everybody you see, now let's go back to the before and afters, you're going to notice just what we said: brighter, tighter, smoother. Next, let's go to we're just going to show you a couple. This is Irene, Irene's mother. Irene was on the call today. Her mother's 84 years old. Look at that. Next. She goes, those are my mom's legs. Anyway, this is after 8 days. This lady said, where did my pores go? Look how much smoother, brighter, tighter. And people have noticed it always opens up the eyes. Look at that. Next. She was 60 here. I met her last year when she turned 60. That was after 1 month, kind of a facelift, but look how much brighter, smoother. This is after 6 months. She looked like she was about 42 to 45. And look how it opens her eyes. Look at that. Next. There you go. Next. He's 67. What a difference. And once again, brighter, tighter, younger looking, and it opens their eyes. Next. Next. I don't want to stop on that one because it's primarily a moisture problem. Dehydration. Okay, look how even her skin tone is. Where did her pores go? How much smoother? And that was in 10 days. Next. 80 years old when this picture was taken. And she said, I don't think it's made any difference. Then Rhonda drove over to her house, took an after picture, and she goes, my Lord, did I really look like that? Because she's from the South. And you saw our first before and after. Well, this is that first before and after's mother. Next. Okay, she was a smoker and her skin showed it. But look at the difference in 8 weeks. Next. Okay, 6 days, pretty good. Next. We're almost done. Now, the doctors in Nigeria were blown away with this one because obviously the melon production has significantly improved. That's why the upper hemisphere of her face is now much brighter without the blackness. And that's pretty miraculous in their sight. Next. Okay, that's damaged skin. Now this, we're going to close with this one. He's 94. He swishes and he sprays. And he said, what I like most isn't my new look, although I do like that. What I like most is I feel like the guy on the right at 94, not the guy on the left. Okay, back to me. We show you these pictures for 2 reasons. Number 1, to show you how effective our product is. But number 2, to help you realize the skin is your largest organ. It is a living organ, and it's subjected to things that most of your organs aren't subject to, namely solar radiation in the daytime and cosmic radiation at night. And that radiation does damage, and that damage is repaired by glutathione. Perfectly, not necessarily, but at least it makes an effort. Radiation causes tremendous oxidative stress. And if we're doing that with the biggest organ in your body that's subjected to even more factors than the internal organs, think what we're doing inside with your heart, your brain, your kidneys, your liver, your pancreas, It's all being dealt with, your eyes. For what it's worth, my last lens change was when I was 58 years old. That was 18 years ago. I get my eyes examined every year. They haven't gotten worse. And at all, my contact lenses are the same prescription today that they were 18 years ago. Glutathione has a very high impact on your eyes. In fact, your eyes are one of the 5 or 6 organs that has the most glutathione per cell. Of course, your heart, your liver has 1,000 times more glutathione than any other organ because it uses glutathione to detoxify itself. And so that's what we have. I don't invite any of you that are here for the first time, I do not invite you to join our company. It's free for you to join, but I invite you to join our Neumi family. We don't care if you just come in as a customer. We hope that you love other people enough to share the product with them because you'll be changing lives. You change one life in your neighborhood, and you may be changing lives around the world. We have one lady in our organization. She recruited one woman in Canada. And this Neumi family member lived in the United States. She recruited a woman in Canada. That woman has an organization on every continent, thousands of people. So the woman that brought her in has now impacted the lives of thousands of people. And that means impacting the lives of their family. And if all we did was increase cellular energy, are you a different parent, a different spouse, a different child when you have high energy than you are when you have low energy? You bet. Hey, Grandpa, you want to do this? Honey, Grandpa's just a little tired right now. No, I don't want to do that. I say, sure, let's go for it. You know, we just had a family reunion for my 76th birthday about a week and a half ago. And so I've got 7 kids and 17 grandkids. And do you know we had more fun? And Grandpa never had to turn anything down. We had a blast. Now, I didn't do some of the things they did. They did some kind of dancing contest that was crazy, where you duplicate. I mean, I won't even get into it. It was crazy. I wouldn't have been able to follow it mentally, much less physically. Hey, F-35 fighter jets, our #1 fighter jet, are flying over me right now. That gives me a really good feeling to know I'm protected by those guys. F-35s and F-22s. They can engage enemy forces before they ever see them. And I mean, in the air. Can you imagine you're an enemy and you think, hey, I'm flying nice and clear skies, and all of a sudden it just got blown up. Yes, I can't attack the good guys. F-35s and F-22s. By the way, I talk about military with praise. My dad survived 45 missions as a bomber pilot in World War II. For those of you on the call from New Zealand and Australia, he said, I'd rather be escorted by Australian fighter pilots than anybody else because they are absolutely fearless. And he said, I don't know if it's because they're crazy, insane, or the most courageous pilots in the air. I'll close with this. One mission, he got separated from his group. He was limping back to base. His plane had been hit quite a few times. And all of a sudden, he was attacked by 12 enemy fighters. He didn't tell me many stories. He only told me 2 the whole time he was alive because it was too painful to go back. But he said, Steve, we're done. We don't have a prayer. It's 1 bomber against 12 fighters. And along comes this Aussie pilot. And in a couple minutes, he shoots down 3 enemy fighters. And the other 9 thought, don't want to have anything to do with this guy. So they turned around and ran. He accomplished his mission. He saved 10 people from dying in the Pacific Ocean. But was that enough for him? No. He chased the 9 fighters. And my dad said, I never got his tail number, never identified who it was, but he says, I'm sure he took out 4 or 5 more. But the fact is, he saved my dad's life in 1944.
Wow.
I was born in 1948. Do I love our military? Do you know my wife loves the military? She put up the highest American flag west of the Mississippi on a residential property. The flagpole's 8 stories high, and the flag is 4 stories long by 2 stories wide. You know who she dedicated it to? I wasn't even there when she did it. I didn't know she was doing it. I was in the Philippines. And when I heard that they had to bring in cranes and all this stuff, I thought, oh my gosh, how much did we spend? And she said, honey, I dedicated it to your dad and my dad and every man who has ever served his country in uniform. And I was okay. Many of you have seen that because you've been to our yard. Anyway, God bless you. I'm sorry I went over, but I love you guys. Believe it or not, we only lost 2 people in this entire time. And so we'll see you next. Let's see. Next week I'm home. It's just a few days before my daughter gets married, my last unmarried child. And then we go on the road right after that. So God bless you. And we will talk to all of you later. It's so good to see all of you from around the world. You're amazing. You're amazing. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Steve. Like I told y'all, he was going to bring the heat, right? You know, and Steve's right. When you look better and you feel better, you just do better. And that's just levels everybody up. And I saw that flag too. I was there. What a great memorial for sure. So thanks, Shannon, for me as well. You know, every Thursday night, every Tuesday night, every Wednesday night, every Thursday night, we have an event for the entire Neumi Nation. On Tuesday nights, we have the global opportunity that you're invited to, and definitely a platform to bring someone who's got questions and interest in the Neumi Nation. That's on Wednesday night, we have what's called Members Night, where Neumi members get to come. We got some training, we got corporate updates. It's usually a power-packed 30, 35 minutes or so. Then on Thursday nights, we got this call, the hydrostat molecular encapsulation technology. That's every Thursday night when Steve Scott himself, the founder, brings the heat on the technology. And every single event, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, are right here on the same platform, Neumi.tv, all at the same time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, whatever that converts to in your time zone. So invite. We're definitely going to see everyone next week for each one of those 3 calls. And every single one of them are live streamed to the Neumi YouTube channel. So if you had someone that was supposed to show up and something happened last minute, they couldn't make it, just direct them to the Neumi YouTube channel. Click on the live tab, and the most recent call is recorded and stored right there on YouTube. So great call tonight, everyone. Y'all have a great evening. Until next week, good morning.